Having just watched New York Jets head coach Robert Saleh's press conference and thinking back to some of his earlier pressers and some of the decisions that were made this offseason and some of the things that his coaches said earlier in the week and some of the things that happened against the Raiders, I'm kind of left wondering, does anyone in that building talk to each other about football? I'm Glenn Norton with Jet Nation Radio and JetNation.com. Be sure to log into JetNation.com where you can register and become a part of what is the most active Jets message board on the web. So Robert Saleh just met with the press. One thing he said that jumped out at me and is really aggravating is he told us Dalvin Cook's almost ready. Dalvin Cook, who's been active every week and taking snaps every week in close games that they're losing by one possession. He said Dalvin Cook's almost ready. You can tell the juice is coming back. The pop. I think he said the pop wasn't there early on. But and he didn't have a training camp and he didn't have a preseason. And Saleh said you could see early on that he wasn't himself. Then why are you playing him? Dalvin Cook is averaging 3.1 yards a carry, and the only reason he's at 3.1 is because he had 2 runs to wide open space the other day that ticked his average up a little bit, and he finally got out of the twos. To hear a head coach say, first of all, did you work the guy out? Or was it just another, Aaron wants this guy, sign him? Did you not see in training camp that in the early part of the season, did you not see that not having a training camp played a role? Like, he was in practice with the other players at some point, right? Before he got into a game. Did nobody watch him and say to somebody else, I don't think this guy's ready. I think he's going to need more time. Maybe we should sign a free agent. Maybe we should give Izzy Abanikanda some run early on. Okay, he's not going to be ready. Let's look at some practice squads. There's got to be a back out there somewhere who can come in and who is ready. Again, you get a guy off a practice squad who did have a training camp and did have a preseason and can get carry the ball 7, 8, 9, 10 times or however many times you're going to give it to Dalvin Cook. To be in week 10, 11 and say, we think this guy's almost ready. Then why has he been playing? Apparently, they just signed the guy. They could tell early on he wasn't ready, but nobody cared or nobody spoke up and nobody said, okay, until he's ready, he's on the bench. And we're going to go get somebody who is ready. The good part, though, he's ready, right? So week 11's coming, and the Jets' number 2 running back, they've just gotten rid of Michael Carter to expand Dalvin Cook's role. So Dalvin Cook should be ready to go. He's an elite back. Historically, they paid him like an elite back, and now he's ready. So look, 75, 100 yards this Sunday, we'll see. But expect big things out of Dalvin Cook because Robert Saleh says he's ready. Nathaniel Hackett talked yesterday about the penalties, which I would think there would be a huge emphasis on getting that fixed. The number of penalties his team is having every week. And Nathaniel Hackett was asked about it. And listen, I get it. I don't need people saying, what's he going to do, Glenn? What's he going to do? Come to the podium and say that our players are idiots and they're stupid? No, I say it all the time. I get that in this era, it's all about coddling and making players feel good about themselves. Coaches don't come out like they used to and criticize guys. Um, but Nathaniel Hackett's answer was basically, oh, these things happen. The penalties, they happen during the play. Guys are doing what they're doing, and these things happen. Has no one told Nathaniel Hackett the impact that these penalties are having? I mean, again, I understand not ripping players, but to be completely nonchalant and like, yeah, what's the big deal? Why is everybody so upset? It happens. Part of the game. You're losing football games because you can't catch and you can't run a play because every time you get a first down, you get a flag. And the coordinator's answer is, yeah, So, okay, and and staying with Hackett. And again, maybe it's the trainers too. Did nobody and if someone wants to say this isn't the way it works in the NFL, well, I got some news for you, NFL. Have it work this way. Do trainers not let coaches know during the game when there are significant injuries that could impact their performance? I mean, I've never been on an NFL sideline. Maybe they don't. Maybe guys get hurt and the trainers are like, "Yeah, we'll tell them after the game." But if I'm watching a game and I see Garrett Wilson, they're manipulating his elbow and he's grimacing and wincing and they're wrapping it and patting it and you can see him that he's not right. And then 15 minutes later, I see Nathaniel Hackett call a play for that same guy to throw the football and it flutters and wobbles out of bounds. Did nobody tell him? Did nobody say, like, look, okay, look, fine, guys are busy. They don't, maybe not every guy. How about like the top six guys on the team? Pick a number. Hey, look, if anything happens to these guys, let us know because they're a big part of what we do every week, and we need to know these things. Apparently not. Apparently, nobody told Nathaniel Hackett that Garrett Wilson couldn't move his arm properly and is now questionable for this week's game. Awesome. So I don't. Like I said, maybe they don't. Maybe somebody who has been on an NFL sideline is watching this and laughing and thinking, huh, this idiot thinks the trainers tell the coaches when guys are hurt. Okay, if you don't, maybe you should. Just at least consider it. Zach Wilson. How many times do I have to watch him jog over to the sideline, sit on the bench, put a hat on, and nobody acknowledge him? As a Jets fan, and any Jets fan listening to this knows, how many years did we spend watching Tom Brady when a drive didn't go right to the coordinator or right to Belichick, right to somebody, and get in their ear and talk and communicate and work through it? I feel like 80, 90% of the time, Zach Wilson is sitting there alone, hat on, waiting to go back out there. Nobody coming up and working through. And this offense has been bad enough. Like, don't come to me and say, oh, but Glenn, I saw him say a couple of words to Hackett on his way to the bench. Like, they need to be engaged. This is very broken right now. And we're consistently seeing Zach Wilson, who, again, you brought in Aaron Rodgers, and here we are week again, 11 coming up, and you've got Robert Saleh still at this point in the season using the well, Aaron got hurt and this wasn't Zach's offense excuse. That would have been okay for the first couple weeks, but first of all, what offense, and I said this the other night on our show on Jet Nation Live, what offense was Zach Wilson running in preseason? What were you teaching him while he was getting reps and we were, I get, the preseason is vanilla and it's not your regular stuff. Fine. But are you not at some point, like when was Nate Hackett hired? Did he not get with Zach Wilson and say this is the offense, learn it? And then when camp kicks off and preseason, you're working with him and working through these things. Instead, we get 10, 11 weeks in, we're still trying to transition to what Zach can do. Did nobody in the building before that Aaron Rodgers trade think to say, hey guys, and I'm not listen, I've been beating the drum since the offseason before the Rodgers trade went down. Where's QB2? Why isn't there a QB2 in here yet? But even not only from a career production standpoint, just from a hey, the guy we're trading for is 38 and he was hurt some last year. And if he gets hurt this year, we're going to need somebody to slide in and be ready to go and make it as smooth a transition as possible. Did nobody say that? Or did nobody say, hey, what are we going to do to get Zach ready by the time the season starts in case Aaron gets hurt? Because apparently the answer was nothing. We'll just if Aaron gets hurt, we'll teach Zach an offense then, and we'll just kind of make it up as we go. So listen, it's one more reason, at least in my mind, that I honestly don't care at this point. People are tired of this excuse about Zach, that excuse about Zach. The team just basically came out and said like, yeah, we don't have an offense for him. We didn't. We weren't really coaching him this offseason because we got Aaron Rodgers, and that was supposed to fix everything, and none of us were supposed to have to do any work. So you can imagine we're pretty upset right now. We were planning on sitting back with our popcorn and watching Aaron Rodgers light up the scoreboard, and now we all got to scramble and get to work and teach Zach Wilson an offense. Communicate. Communicate. It's I don't think I've ever worked in a place where communication isn't a problem. But to this level, where you got guys from off season up until today talking about things that should have been talked about months ago or worked through months ago. In a business, and I said this the other day too, we always hear in this business how it's all about the details. It's the little thing. It's we're such a detail oriented game. You have to account for every tiny thing. And the Jets are just I don't know what they're doing. Buffalo this week, I said 17-6 Bills. I hope it's 35 nothing Jets. But I don't see this team beating anybody right now. The good thing is the game should be at least maybe not offensively entertaining, but as we've said many times, with this defense, they should be in most games, and games should be close enough that one or two balls bouncing your way, maybe you steal a win. So maybe they steal a win. Maybe they make Josh Allen's life miserable again. But for God's sakes, Jets, owners, executives, coaches, players, get to know each other. Talk some football.